Hello and welcome to the second month of the Nippurian calendar. And again, I apologize for being a little late to the game here. The month actually already started a couple of days ago. As I said in my last video, I caught a cold and I'm still catching up on some of the calendar. So instead of spreading all of the events out for the month, we're going to talk about the month of 𒌗𒄞𒄛🋏, which means the Horned Oxen March Forth. And then we're going to go right into the major festival of the month, which happens during the 20th through the 22nd day of the month. So count from the start of the month, which for me, since I'm in the American Midwest and I'm pretty close to Chicago, I calculated based on the time that the first crescent of the moon could be seen at the Oriental Institute of Chicago. So the first day of the month was April 20th. So the festival actually starts Tuesday, May 9th, goes on through Wednesday, and ends on Thursday. So what is this month actually all about? What does Horned Oxen March Forth mean? It was once thought that it was a plowing holiday and had pastoral meaning. It would make sense that there would be a ritual to the crucial event of plowing, but plowing was actually done a few months later in the year. Translators have come to discount the month's name as having anything to do with the yoking of cattle. So the yoking of the cattle is actually an old translation. To really understand the month's significance, it helps to know just a little bit about the history of cattle. Many forms of livestock were first domesticated in the Middle East. These include breeds of cattle that we do not see in the Middle East today. The shapes of the horn and the temperament of different types of cattle were completely different, as we know from studying the remains of individuals who lived at the time. And the remains have distinctive injuries. Because of this, identifying horned oxen as separate from other oxen is significant, as it clearly indicates that at least two types of oxen were known to the holy city of Nippur at the time. As you might imagine from the mention of injuries and human remains, that some of these early domesticated cattle were not as nice as others. Domestication is a whole thing. It takes a long time, and just because the domestication of cattle started a lot earlier doesn't mean that they were fully domesticated to what we see today at the time that the holiday was named in Nippur. It is not quite clear which particular breed of cattle might have been referred to here. It may have been the more aggressive of the breeds. Over time, as one breed became more favored over the other breeds, the original meaning of this term was lost. So when we say the Horned Oxen March Forth, we're specifically talking about one kind of oxen. But in later time periods, they didn't have multiple kinds of oxen to march forth, and so it wouldn't have held the same meaning. In its place, the language changed. The word came to be replaced by a similar word meaning decoration. So there was probably the decorating of horns. Gusisu can also mean battering ram or marching forth. The storm god Ninurta, one of the great heroes of the gods, was described as being a battering ram. He was also a patron of farmers and was associated with the plow. With these elements put together, we can understand that there was a ritual procession, that cattle may have had their horns decorated, and they may have been given a symbolic plow. So the actual fields wouldn't have been plowed at this time, but the cattle would have had their horns decorated and would have been given a symbolic plow for a ritual procession. For the modern practitioner, spend a little bit of time decorating a set of horns and give honor to Ninurta, the storm god, the hero of the gods, during this month. A good myth to read would be the myth of Ninurta and the Anzu, or Imdagud bird, where the storm bird steals the tablet of destiny from Enlil, and only the hero Ninurta can retrieve it. If you have an image of Ninurta, do a ritual procession with that image, saying his praises. All right, fast forward 3 weeks from the beginning of the month, or roughly 2 weeks from now, and we've got the 20th day of the month. Remember, that's May 9th, 10th, and 11th. And now we have the holiday Marching Forth. And this is happening at the same time as the greater offering for this month. As with last month, there are two events that happen at the same time. For the Great Offering, simply refer back to 𒌗𒄞𒛛𒋛💤, the Great Offering video that I already have in the playlist. That video will be the template for all such offerings throughout the year. Since we already know what the Greater Offering was, let's talk about Marching Forth. We're talking about the marching forth of the horned oxen. This might be horned oxen marching through a specific gate, the matching and mating of horned oxen, or even a ritual procession of horned oxen. But we're definitely referring to the activities of those horned oxen. The horned oxen might have had their horns decorated and given a symbolic plow to honor the nature of the animal as a hard worker in the field. The storm god Ninurta might have been honored as a patron of the farmer and as a god of the seasonal downpour. So, what do you do if you're a modern practitioner? So, for the modern practitioner, specifically one who doesn't happen to have a herd of cattle and a city to march them through, a substitute might be useful. You could take a set of decorative horns and adorn them with ribbons. March through your home or ritual space wearing those horns, and give thanks to Ninurta for bringing the seasonal downpour that allows agriculture to take place. Remember that this is a 3-day ritual, so give offerings to the gods at this time from greatest on downwards, and be sure to include Ninurta in those offerings. Well, thank you for checking in, and I'm again really sorry that this one is a little bit late. Hope you learned a lot, and I will catch you guys later. Bye-bye.